Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host. And I'd like to ask you, how do you feel about the future of a healthier America? Are you
Oh
optimistic?
my, oh my gosh. I'm extremely excited
Well,
and
this is
optimistic.
Victor. No, Victor Cozzetto is my guest who was going to talk with us about what let's call it MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. And so we're all looking forward to a healthier time. Now, there are a lot of people who are frightened about this. And they're frightened because the all of these powers of chemistry and science and are being questioned. How dare us question science? And you know, we've been living with all the university research and all these medical journals that have shown us how incredible it is, this world of science and health and medicine that we live in. So, how can we question it? And how can
Hmm.
we move forward into a future that could be better than that? So, Victor, I've asked you to be on the show because you're somebody who has, let's call it credentials. Washington has been in touch with you. They want
Oh,
you.
I
And
hope so.
yes, and um, so what about, upsetting science? How can we upset science? After all, hasn't it been what America is great about?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love to remind people, I often tell people, like, or my clients especially, I'll say, let's just imagine I am the smartest guy in the world and I have all available known knowledge in the palm of my hand. I still know nothing. I think people forget that we are still so infantile in our understanding of life. I mean, 100 years from now, we'll look back and see how primitive we are, right? So yeah, we just have to keep that in mind that no matter how brilliant we might think we are, yeah, we're still incredibly, there's always going to be more ignorance than knowledge,
Well, but
right?
what's happening now is that there's going to be revelations
Yes.
about what has been hidden. And even in recent years, the medical journals have said that probably half of their articles were faked,
Yes.
that research really wasn't honest,
Right.
and people giving them, about new medications, et cetera, um, peer reviewed.
Right.
Well, who's the peer? Peer review,
Right.
uh,
Right.
uh, phonies helping phonies.
Yes.
And so how can we, you know, feel confident that turning this world of science upside down is going to be good for us when we supposedly have been helped by it, even though our country is among the unhealthiest countries in the world.
Hmm.
So, what is it that needs to change? What do we need to find out? What
Yeah.
do we need to learn that's going to be exposed uh, very soon? Because this
Yes.
administration has people who are not in the loop.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Oh my
Well,
gosh!
yes.
What are their credentials? Don't they know that they have to have they fit in and be approved by the authorities out there that have been actually keeping us from the truth all along?
Yes. Suppressing so much information. I think the brilliance of MAHA, of the Make America Healthy Again movement, um, the brilliance of the way it's written, like the key issues and policies, it's so simple. Clean the air, clean the water, clean the food, protect our habitats, right? Promote regenerative agriculture. Having these priorities is going to expose the science that is corrupt, and it's going to lead us towards science that's more appropriate for, human living, or not just humans, but all life. So from this very simple focus, this very simple guidance, like when I go to vet a new product or a new technology, I look for those things and I look very deeply at those things. Is this product really clean, right? Is it really free of toxins, right? And then to even help me understand if it is, for example, connected to the idea of preserving habitat and, working with, let's say, responsible agriculture, I should be able to trace the constituents of any kind of like supplement or food product. I should be able to trace that back to like a small farm or small business. So where I can assure that it is clean, right? We need this transparency, right?
Right, but the government has been telling us that we can't trust small farmers because they're not controlled like the big, uh, factory farms are, and
Right,
so they're well controlled, but they're well controlled because they're using very artificial chemicals and all kinds of troubled farming that might keep us safe from anything that could harm us, but also it doesn't give us anything that can help us.
right, exactly. Yeah, it makes you when we listen to when they speak like that, it makes you wonder, like, did they even stop to think how we actually evolved on this planet, right? So we are part of this world, right? So if we're trying to remove ourselves from it and sterilize everything that is brought into our inner circle, we're reducing our immunity. There are so many things. The more we engage with dirty food, the more you put your hands in the dirt, the more you get outside, the more you walk through a forest, etc. The more connected you are to the world in physical and spiritual ways, and therefore the more indestructible you are because you're not alien from that world. You're just part of it.
And that's
Um,
what the government has denied.
right,
They've been actually against small farmers because
right,
they say you can't control them to be as sterile as they would like. And
right.
therefore, we don't get the nutrition from it also.
Uh,
So there's a whole, I think farming will take on a whole new look. And I don't know how long it'll take to get back to small farms being, the ultimate source of health
mhm.
in a large enough way to feed a large population.
I think it's very fast, actually. Let me give you some anecdotal evidence. As since Trump won the election, there's a small private farm not too far from where I live where people would go to get raw milk. Because I'm in New York, raw milk can be not be sold
And it's
publicly.
been illegal, right?
Right. So the only way to get raw milk is to go to the farm. You can do that. So they're allowed to make it, they're allowed to sell it if someone comes to the farm. All right.
And even then, I
Farm
think you
now.
had to become
It's Trump won.
a member of the farm or something. They made it more complicated. Uh,
Right. It's a very right. The legal barriers are very complicated,
right. And they're
right?
saying because raw milk is so vulnerable to have
Which it's not. It's not
problem.
vulnerable,
No,
right?
but then again, the people who sell raw milk are very responsible farmers.
Yes, absolutely. They're much more responsible. So this farm near me, not too far from me, since Trump won the election, they can no longer keep up with demand for their raw milk.
I love it.
So
And
we
no
are
one's going
always
after
seeing,
them. And
right? Well, they
I'm
can't.
thinking,
They're
I'm,
being legal.
right, I'm thinking of yeah, but still they know that at this point, the law is not going to be chasing them because the law is going to change about that.
Right,
But
exactly.
I'm also thinking about
Exactly.
the Amish too, because the government
Yes.
is after the Amish farmers as well.
Yes. Miller's Farm, they just won their lawsuit. And Miller's Farm is receiving tremendous support. So they're going to rebound hugely after being almost decimated by the government, right? It's a very, very sad situation. But right? I mean, I don't know when this will be published, but the inauguration date has not even arrived yet at the time of our speaking, and already Maha has enormous momentum and is already having an impact on small businesses. I'm already hearing it, seeing it. I'm already taking action in every way that I personally can. And using Maha as this kind of binding thing, as a rallying call, so to say, or even as a flag, um, to help raise awareness, that this is what it means to make America healthy again, to support the small farmer. So if we're going to ensure that that food is clean, of course, obviously, Kennedy and Trump and all of those in government from the top down will be doing what they can. But from the ground up, we need to do that too. And the way we can is by making better choices for our food and our products and the way we live. And I mean, it's easier for us to check a farm, a local farm. We get to know the farmer, right? Make that personal connection, and then we can make a judgment. And you know what? If the other thing is, let's say you find local eggs, and then you think, wow, you know what? This farmer is not really he's not raising his chickens the right way. Well, maybe we can educate that farmer. And now you establish a relationship. So now it's not just about the food, but it's about community, right? It's about so many other things. So when I
Right.
talk about Maha, I like to really bring in the much larger picture, right? So the idea, the efforts that are outlined by Maha these are very just solid, grounded things, but they're going to foster more community, more
I
connection.
love that. Yeah, what it is it's inspiring people to be, they don't have to be brave anymore because
Yeah, yeah.
not fighting a system that wants to do you in.
Right,
Well, it's a
right.
system that wants to support really smart living, smart health, and we know that they want to get rid of regulations, but but also you do need to be smart about it all. You can't just get rid of
Yes.
regulations and have a bunch of idiots running things that don't know what they're
r-
doing.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, so I know me personally, um, if I do end up in DC, right? So as you mentioned, right, I did get a phone call and was asked to go to DC, but we're, we're not through with discussions. So I don't know, maybe I'll be in DC by the time this is published, maybe not. But I'm also working with another group of MAHA people on a project for MAHA wellness centers. And through my own personal efforts, I will aggressively go after companies, products, etc. I will vet them very aggressively according to what MAHA stands for. So I will vet things with extreme prejudice to see if they're clean and they are supporting these the key agenda, the key issues and policies that MAHA is giving us.
It's going to be a
And
learning curve because
yes, yes,
there'll be all kinds of people selling all kinds of snake oil also that we have to
yes,
be careful about.
right, right, 100%. But like you said too, the people will be able to be braver. So the new government is going to unleash the people upon the companies. And I want to arm the people with very simple guidance. Here's how you go and tell if these companies are selling you snake oil, right? So I provide guidance like videos, handouts, just like a one-page guide. Even the Maha key issues and policies fit on one page.
Wow.
So people can absorb it pretty easily. And then from that, I have like a two-page handout because then I even break it down even more simply. This is what Maha means. You look for things that are clean if you can get stuff from your local community, that's a better chance of supporting the agenda. It's a better chance you have a fine and clean food, right? Look for that transparency. If people are trying to hide ingredients or specifications, avoid them, right?
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of
It's
people hunting down
yes, yes,
false
right.
farmers.
Yes, yes, right. So we're going to unleash the population.
Wow.
I think that's a key point that, when you said that the people don't have to be afraid anymore, or we don't have to rely on only the bravest of us. There's no more repercussions, right?
I
The
love that.
government,
Yes,
right?
it's been so frightening. How many doctors have lost their licenses over the years?
Oh, that's yeah, that's
A
countless.
long, long story. I remember 40 years ago being involved in New York with Gary Null, and he was always promoting alternative medicine, and these doctors who knew how they were healing people, what they were doing was working, and their licenses were being taken away from them because they weren't in doing prescribed medicine. They were doing vitamin C drips or whatever it is that they found
Right,
that worked. These are things that were working, and they
right,
were dedicated to what worked, and they couldn't stop doing what worked because that's what their creed was. And
right.
they would lose their licenses because.
It's heartbreaking. You know what? I'd like to mention, we were speaking before the podcast, and I mentioned the telepathy tapes to you, which is slightly off topic, but not exactly. It's about autistic children and helping autistic children. One of the doctors involved with the helping the autistic children to communicate in the telepathy tapes, she lost her license because she was going against the mainstream thought. Um, and this is heartbreaking. So right up until now, here we are we're in the beginning of 2025 right now, but right up until last year, doctors were still losing their licenses for doing the right thing and for speaking truth.
Right.
And
Well, it'll be interesting to see what changes in terms of different states' medical boards that have been corrupt and supporting, the pharmaceutical industry. And the whole industry
yes,
is going to be has to be restructured to be honest.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very confident that the government will do a very good job. Um, I mean, look, we're going to have Bobby Kennedy at the head of HHS. He oversees 30 departments, the FDA, the CDC, and 28 other departments. And I'm hoping that I will be in one of those. And actually, I would prefer to be, there's the assistant secretary, which oversees the other 29.
That's
To,
cool.
to, yeah, I would love to be part of that to help make sure that everybody's staying in line with what Kennedy wants done,
Uh,
because his vision is spot on. And I think that's how you will, right? You will change the medical industry in every state. Um, not overnight, right? It's going to take time.
right.
But even again, back to your first point about people won't have to be afraid to speak up. We have a lot of warriors in waiting, so to say, right? That they just had too much to lose, where they felt if they spoke up, they wouldn't be able to be effective. But now, right, the
Right,
roadblocks
but
have been,
also there is so many scientific truths that have been subverted that
yes,
need to be exposed because I know over the years there were so many breakthroughs in this and this and that until the government got hold of them and then they disappeared.
yes, and they're suppressed. I think that's going to be the most shocking revelations because all of the secrets are going to come out. All of this, the suppressed technology will be rolled out, the suppressed science. Um, and I think this is going to have a shocking impact on us. And they'll roll things out responsibly because people are literally going to be shocked about the things that are slowly revealed. Things that like you already know about. There are things that I'm still afraid to talk about publicly. And so we have to be a little bit responsible with the dispersion of information, new tools and such. But yeah, I think there too, like you said, things have been suppressed intentionally. Um, and it'll
And
be
it's amazing, I think, the breakthroughs of of products and services, tools that have been suppressed when they're allowed to see the light of day because they were competitive with big pharma, and that's why they were suppressed. Heaven
yes,
forbid you should heal people and they don't need all these drugs.
right, right, exactly. My biggest concern, and perhaps one of my biggest initiatives that I will do through Mahar and even personally is I do not want to see the snake oil salesmen in the supplement industry simply replace the pharmaceutical companies because they're trying to use the same business model and we don't make progress if the supplement industry becomes the new pharmaceutical industry with the same kind of false advertising and snake oil salesmen. So that's one of my things is trying to keep that, on track and truthful.
I
And the
guess the
same,
FDA will play a big role in that, in
right,
monitoring, um, and they have actually the FDA has a department that does look at vitamins and nutrition,
right.
and
Mhm.
and they weren't ready to shut it all down as people were afraid because they did see that so much of the nutritional industry has double-blind studies, has honest studies,
Right, right,
no, and can present themselves honorably.
right,
And I think that's what we want to see more of.
right.
And so it won't be a free for all.
Right, exactly. It's a tricky balance, right? You again, of course, you don't want to overregulate and suppress things. You just want to arm the people with the right knowledge and be able to just a little bit of guidance here. The one problem that I've always had with the FDA is how there's so many companies out there that just blatantly lie. There is false information on packaging and in advertising, so that they are allowed to continue this psychological warfare against the consumer. That stuff needs to be reeled in. We just need to make the companies more honest, and then the people will be able to judge on their own,
Right. And,
right?
and all the
So,
conflicts of interest. I'm thinking of
yes,
Congress, even that's owned by pharmaceutical, even TV,
right.
pharmaceutical ads really support a lot of TV,
Yes,
and they don't want to see that going down the tubes.
right.
And
That's crazy right? We're one of the only nations in the world that still allow that. It's insane,
yeah,
right?
but it's a status quo that might harm a lot of TV shows.
Yes.
So we don't know the
They're going to
fallout.
lose their right. They're going to lose their funding.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see there are a lot of huge companies, a lot of big investors that will be eager to fill that gap in the advertising,
Oh, good.
right? They haven't had the opportunity because the pharmaceutical companies could outbid everybody, right? So once you remove them, you create opportunity, right, for more ethical
Yeah.
businesses
Yeah, I
to
like
step
that. I,
in.
I like that idea.
Right. So I
Yeah.
so I remain hopeful about that. And we've got some, that's why I love, you've got Trump behind Maha. It's not like Kennedy's not by himself. You've got Trump and he's surrounded himself with an incredible team. So they're gonna have the business side covered. Like they've got this from every
Well,
angle.
the good thing about Trump is that he's frightening to people.
Yes, exactly. Right. He
And
puts the fear of God into them. Yes.
yeah, and that's why people, didn't want him to be president. A lot of people because they were afraid that his aggressiveness would be misdirected.
Right. right.
But I believe now that he's surrounded himself with people who are authentic and have the best purpose for our country.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at it, you can almost look at it as if, you know, it's like Kennedy gets to wield Trump like a sword now for his Maha effort. Yeah, I mean, Trump is the
That's
whole
true.
administration.
I like that
Yeah,
way of
you look
looking
at it
at
that
it.
way,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
and you've got
Kennedy
to,
found a better weapon than just himself. Uh,
right, right,
yeah,
exactly. I mean, you've got a unity party there. It's not Republican or Democrat. I mean, you've
yeah.
got a complete unity party. Um, and it's just, and like I said, for me, even the genius of Maha is how the key policies and issues are not overly complex. I don't have to explain a 45-page document to somebody. No. So even while Kennedy will be able to wield so much power to clean up everything, that power is much easier to also put into the hands consumer. And I hate the word consumer, but into the people, into the hands of the people
Uh-huh.
through simple guidance. Yeah. So
Great. So we're getting
yeah.
near the end of the show. Um, what can the audience know to follow up with you? How can um,
Oh, so keeping in the spirit of what we're talking about, I have videos. I just released a video recently that explains how to implement Maha at the ground level and help yourself at the same time. So, and it breaks down exactly what we're talking about. I can provide people with handouts from talks I've given on Maha. So really empowering the people. I have a lot of information out there.
and how can they find it?
They can search for me by Victor Cozzetto on the internet or by Vitagenics. Vitagenics is just a branding I use to make it easy to find my information. I'm on YouTube, unless they take down my channel.
They
Uh,
won't anymore, I
but
don't think.
right, I think I'm safe. Like I said, if you're watching this after January 20th, I should be fine. So you'll find me on YouTube. You'll find my website is vitagenics.me. And you could just go to like any browser and just search for my name, Victor Cozzetto, and you'll find me. You'll also find me on other people's podcasts. So you'll get to me eventually.
Uh,
And then you'll find my guides and my videos that will help you be able to help yourself. I just want to empower people to be able to take care of
this is
themselves.
great.
So
Victor, thanks so much for being on Energy Stew. I love talking with you,
thank you so much, Peter. I know there's so much I would love to speak with you about. So maybe we'll get to speak more in the future.
but I hope so. And this is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at peter at heartriver, Heart river.org. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening.